Welcome, folks. I hope you all got some food. Thank you so much to our beautiful team, Del Cielo, for making this wonderful food. We're so grateful. You can all help us, by the way, at the end of the meal by bussing your tables. We're starting to culture of responsibility here at IKAR for our tables. So just grab what you see. It will help our staff. They're here very late, and then they come back first thing in the morning tomorrow. So we're grateful for the help in that way. Okay, I'm so excited for this conversation. You're just going to get a little bit of a taste of Rabbi Tamar Elad-Applebaum tonight. And we're going to talk a bit, really, she's going to talk. I'm going to help guide the conversation about, I think, really one of the most important issues of our time. And I say this with all the humility as we witness what I mentioned during our service, as we witness a return to war in this time. And I want to lift up in this space a different kind of leadership, a different model of what's possible. And I can't really think of anyone who better embodies that than my dear friend Tamar. I want to invite us to expand our minds and our imaginations this Shabbat, starting tonight and continuing throughout the day tomorrow, to think not only about what is, but also about what could be. So I want to just first start by asking, we're going to talk a little bit about why we think this is such an important conversation to have. And then we have texts on the tables, just a couple copies on each table. And we'll look at the text, but really the texts are there to use as a guide for us for a couple of points that we want to lift up this evening. So, Rabbi Tamar, why does the world need women leaders now?
The answer is, look at Rabbi Sharon Brous.
That's a cheap shot. Come on. Okay.
So Shabbat Shalom. I want to say thank you so much for being here. I actually didn't come to be a scholar in residence. I just came to be with my friend and my sister and my teacher, Rabbi Sharon, because this is a really hard time, as you said. And I feel that we have to make sure to have time for friendship, to strengthen leadership, and our vision of this world, while the world is shaking and in many, many ways also disappearing, the one we know. And this is a moment of much, much fear, but it's also a moment of possibility. And I'm here to talk about the possibility. And before anything, I want to say that you gave us, Rav Neria, the CEO of Tzion, and a dear friend. And every time I say that, for me, I'm already old. But when I look at him and his leadership and the next generation's leadership, I know we did something good in this world. And I hope it's okay to open before we speak about women. Rav Neria taught us the beautiful piyut. It's a Turkish one. And it ends with the words, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And I want to say something about it because, for many years, I've been taught that Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad means, hear, O Israel, everything is one. But since the declaration of Trump about different human beings and his decision to become God, I want to say Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad means that God is the one who gave birth to each and every one, Echad. And he said, you have a life, and this is who you were destined to be. And you have a life, and this is who you were destined to be. And there are people of all colors and all thoughts and all lifestyles and all identities. And each one of them is part of Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. So as we enter a conversation about women, I want to say as a mother and as a human and as a Jew and as an Israeli, I want to say thank you to Hashem for creating each and every Echad in His image. And I want to be able to say this, and no one can take away the work of Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And may we all guard each other, each and every one, each and every Echad. So I hope it's okay to say something about our ancestors. I thought a lot about it, that in the time of destruction, our ancestors decided to turn all the most important ideals from men to women. Shabbat in their time was a male. Shabbat. Zachor et Yom HaShabbat. Remember the day of the Sabbath. It was male. But after the destruction of the temple, they decided it's a woman. Shabbat. Shabbat HaMalka. Shabbat the queen. They did the same with Yerushalayim. They turned her into a woman leader. They did the same with the Torah. She became a woman leader. And they did the same with Tefillah, with prayer. And they gave us 4 women leaders after the destruction to walk with us during exile, to escort us one day to all the places we want to create in this world. 4 teachers, Shabbat, in time, Yerushalayim, Jerusalem in space, Torah, and Tefillah, prayer. And they said, now, change everything. Start walking and following women. And many times I think about, the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, that slowly it becomes more and more feminine. And as we are mamash now, in Purim, in the most dark moment, we have Esther. And then on Pesach, we read about the woman that doesn't even have a name, on Shir HaShirim, Song of Songs. And then we go on in Shavuot, and we read about Ruth and Naomi. And our ancestors tell us, switch to women. They need a place in this world. And I'm saying this because I think that many times when everything really is shaken, and especially Rabbi Sharon, as you said, in a time of war, many times the first who are silenced are women. And they said, no, the first who are going to talk here are the women. And we need them. We need them now. So it seems to me like women in our tradition were invited in the most broken times to be teachers, to be speakers, and to be leaders of imagination.
I think this is one of the things that I'm most grateful about in your leadership, and I know Rabbi Peretz and so many of us hear your voice and take such great strength from you, and it's because you speak in a soft voice and you say You say the soft words. You say the words that in this hard world, it's hard to even say. And we were just together last month when I was in Jerusalem, and I was in a seminar on peace. And we met with peace builders, and what I recognized and what we talked about is that the way that the scholars are talking about peace is so different from the way that the peace builders talk about peace. The scholars talk about an imperial peace, a peace in which there's a winner and a loser, and it's quiet because someone has won so decisively. Utopian peace, which is a lion's laying with the lamb, but we all know that that will never happen. So it's just a fantasy, so we can say Shabbat Shalom and go to war in the same breath. But the peace builders hold this word so much closer to the heart and speak in a different kind of voice. And those aren't just women, by the way. There are lots of male peace builders, too. There are lots of trans and non-binary peace builders. It's not just women, but I think there's something about the Shekhinah, about this kind of feminine, embodying the feminine divine that feels to me like part of the work of peace in this time. Because it seems like we've got these leaders who are just racing to war to protect themselves and their interests. And then there's the prayer for the mothers, which we're going to look at tomorrow, which for so many of us in the course of the last several years, we found a language through your words that you wrote with the Sheikha, with your friend, a Muslim Palestinian religious leader. We found words that reflected how we felt in our own hearts, that every single innocent who dies, it's a moral catastrophe. And that we don't only count our people versus your people, but we count people because all people are created in God's own image. And I feel what's happening now is there's a kind of clashing between the world of the people who hunger only for war and the world of the peace builders who believe something else is possible. And I don't want to be, so binary about it, that this is a man's world and this is the woman's world. But I felt shortly after October 7th, when we started to find out about the women spotters who were on the border in Gaza and who saw what was happening, and they warned the people who were more senior to them, and they said something terrible is going to happen, and they were told, don't be so hysterical. They were just completely dismissed. And then we learned about how many Israeli women paid the highest price in terms of sexual violence and loss. And then we saw how those voices were totally disregarded by so many people, human rights activists, people who supposedly care about women, didn't believe Israeli women. And then we saw Palestinian mothers and children, like they're responsible for holding the families and just with nowhere to turn, with no one to help them and answer their cry. And so it's women who saw what was coming and women who are in a way hurt the most. And then the women who were giving us the strength and the language to believe in something different. So I would love if you can share with us a little bit from the soft place and the tender place and gentle place of your heart about what you even believe that leadership looks like. And we can look at Miriam as a model for this. But who are we actually called to be in this time? Knowing, as I said, that this isn't only who women are called to be, but there's a lot for us to learn from the mission about who we're all called to be today. So can you tell us what you see from your vantage point?
ממש תודה. Many years ago when I became a rabbi, and I want to say I was not supposed to become a rabbi. Like my parents, that's the last thing they ever wanted, dreamed, did not dream. And I remember until today how I came to my Ima, who I love so much, and I told her that I heard that in America there are women rabbis, and this is really, it's my honor to be in the presence of women rabbis, because I would have never been one, ever, without you. And I remember telling her, and I also heard that there were women rabbis in history, in Turkey, in the 16th century, Osnat Barazani, Chana Rachel Warbermacher in Poland. And I wanted her to feel that I'm not by myself there, that there are women, it's a lineage of women. And I remember my mother crying for half an hour, and at the end telling me, I'm so happy someone married you. Otherwise, no one would have married you. And I want to say something. She really said it out of love and worry. She really was afraid that no one in the world would marry a woman rabbi. And I remember asking myself, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? I don't know a woman rabbi. I never met a woman rabbi. How does she look like? And in the first congregation in the Negev, Yossi and I lived in the Negev because we really believed in being down in the south. And someone made a sign saying, Harabah Tamar, Rabbi Tamar. And I had never met a woman rabbi. And I went into the room and there was this sign, Harabah Tamar, and I started sobbing and crying. And I said, what am I doing? I'm so lucky someone married me, but I'm like going to lose everyone. It's not going to work. Like, what am I doing? I'm all alone. I don't know anyone. And then I remember, I said to myself, Ma pitom, what are you talking about? Sarah was the strongest woman, and Hagar, and Rivka, and Rachel, and Leah, and Miriam. And I said to myself, all of these women have paved the road for us. And I am just going to go and walk in their footsteps. And one of my friends told me, speak in a more manly way so everyone hears you, that you have gravitas. And I said, no, I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to be a soft person. This is who I am. So I want to delve into Miriam because we're on our way to Pesach. And I want for a moment to just see what she did because we're in the footsteps of these incredible women and we're not by ourselves. We're going with them and they're holding our back all the time. Toda Rabba. So look at the first thing that Miriam has. It's in the sheet. And this is about the conversation of Miriam. And this is a story that our ancestors teach us and tell us. They said about Amram, the father of Moses, of Moshe. He was the leader of his generation. Like he was the big leader of the generation. And when Paro said, every son that is born you shall cast into the river, Amram, her father, Miriam's father, and Moshe's father said, we labor in vain. He immediately arose and divorced his wife, and everyone else stood up and divorced their wives as well because he's the leader. And then Miriam, that tiny little nothing, said to him, Father, your decree is harsher than that of the wicked Pharaoh. For Pharaoh only decreed against the males, but you have decreed against both males and females. Pharaoh only decreed in this world, but you have decreed both in this world and the next. Pharaoh decreed, and it's doubtful whether his decree will be fulfilled or not, but you are righteous. So certainly your decree will be fulfilled. As it is said, you will decree a thing, and it will be established for you. And then Amram arose and took his wife back, and everyone else stood up and took their wives back as well. I love this story. Like, his name in Hebrew means the highest. Amram means to be the highest, to be the... And her name, Miriam, means to be the carrier. Like she's carrying everything. She's bringing up everything. She's ascending everything on her shoulders, taking all the weight. She's doing work. He looks at history and he says, okay, there's nothing I can do about it. Miriam says, what? You have time, you have ability, you can talk, you can make life. She talks to her father about what he does in his own private life. Truly. And she tells him, go and make children. Go and live life. And she is nothing. She actually has no voice. She is a woman, a girl with no voice. And I want to say, I feel that about myself. And I don't know if there are other women who feel that about themselves. I want to tell you something. Every time there's a room and someone is supposed to talk, I always wait for the man to talk. Always. Is there another woman here who feels the same? So this room is very lucky. And thank you, Aviva, for me. I was raised to wait for the men. I was raised to hear the wise men rabbis. It took me so long to learn from Miriam. It took me so long to understand that so many of them are just repeating history, and they're giving up on history, and they're holding on to their power. And that is what they know to do. And actually, I have the chance to be different. I have no power. I have ideals and vision and a sense of truth and my compass. And that is what I have. And it's the most I have. And I can say something about it. And if I say something about it, it will be what I came to do in this world. So I have to do it now. And so what I've been doing in the past years is overcoming the instinct of waiting for men and understanding that I have been waiting for them too long. And too many of them have disappointed all of us. And there are incredible men here. David and so many others, and Neria and Hillel and so many people. But I want to tell you, and you're our partners, and we could have never done it without you. But I want to tell you, this is the time for something different. Men have ruled the world for long. And they have done wonderful things, and they have done disastrous things. And they now need to make space like we all do for children, for souls, for life, for imagination. And they need to say, step up, women. Give us your imagination. Make room for all souls and all human beings and all lives and all peoples. And we want you to lead the world. And I promise you that just like Rav Sharon is making space for me and for all of you to experience a new kind of prayer tonight, these women will make space and bring in more and more leadership with humbleness. And they won't create one leader who saves the world. They will create a humanity where we all save each other.
Wow. So I want to let us sit with that seed that you're planting tonight, and I'm gonna say something that I really appreciate about Miriam, and then we'll take if folks have a couple of questions, maybe just one or two questions tonight, and then we'll have much more time to talk tomorrow and to learn more from you. But one of the things that I'm so moved by in the Miriam story is that throughout the first two chapters of Sefer Shemot, of the book of Exodus, there are so many examples of things that regular people can do to resist Pharaoh and to resist the kind of cruelty that was immediately normalized under that tyrant. And Miriam's is the most sort of deceptively simple of all, because Miriam is saying the way that you resist is not, it's not like, there's certainly not through violence. And it's not even by openly and actively fighting against Pharaoh. It's just by continuing to live and to love and believing that something better might be possible. That in its own right is this kind of transformative, revolutionary thinking in that time, which is, I feel, what you are bringing in our time, and what I think we're striving to bring and what we need to bring in our time. So I want to just recognize that. I know it's sort of a simple statement, but what Miriam is telling her parents is, like, go be in love. There's room for love, even under this tyrant. Go make babies. There's room for new life, even under this tyrant. And she was 5 or 6 years old, the rabbis say, when she did this. So had she not done that, so then Moses would never have been born, and the redemption wouldn't have unfolded as it did. And so I just want to honor what it means to be kind of quiet voice that's able to say, like, there's room for all of this joy and all of this love, even still. And in your community, I feel like Zion and IKAR are kind of sister communities in so many ways. And also it's very different, because you're right in the heart of Yerushalayim, you're in the heart of Jerusalem. Your community is deep in the midst of this grief and in the midst of this war. Your congregants are being called back into war now, called into Gaza after serving these incredible, unprecedented periods of time there, risking their lives and just witnessing so much pain. You are right next door to Gaza, where tens of thousands of people have been killed. I mean, you're right in the heart of this. You're like in the belly of the beast, and we're in the diaspora, and we are as invested and aware as we are. It's really different. And so as much as I'm working in this place to sort of speak in a more capacious way about what's possible, every time I have gone to Zion in the last several years, but especially in the last 18 months, which is several times now since I've been back, I have heard you speak a language that most rabbis in the diaspora are afraid to speak, a language of compassion, a language of empathy and care. There's this new thing. Have you heard about toxic empathy? There's this idea like people like the people in this room get attacked now from those who say that empathy is toxic and that it's destroying us. We're becoming like snowflakes because we care too much about other people and we should just let go of that. And I see on the other side of this, in your home, in the heart of the pain, where there's so much personal loss for you and for so many of your people, this refusal to let go of empathy, of possibility, there's something there that is so precious, and I just want to lift it up. And if you can identify where it's coming from, we need more of that in the world. And I want to understand it. How do you talk to a community of bereaved people and remind them that our neighbors are bereaved too? How do you find the strength and the heart to continue to insist that until our neighbors are okay, we are not going to be okay? I'm really curious how that works for you internally and how much of this has to do with you being both a sister and also a daughter of bereaved parents and also a mother of 3 beautiful girls. Where does that strength come for you?
First, I want to say I don't know. I wish I did. You know, the Baal Shem Tov, he says that the word nashim, women, it comes from neshama, soul. And I want to apologize before all the men, because it's not only that you have been leaders, but you, in many ways, this was your role in history, to be in charge. Some of you wanted and some of you didn't. And it's time for all of us to be in charge. And I think when you're in charge, so you don't have much time for the soul. You have to be all the time doing, and making the most, saving penny to penny, making a life. And what you give up on is neshama. You give up on the soul. The soul is transparent. You can't see it. You can't take profit of it. You can't lock it up. It's free. And it wears nothing but itself. And it shines. And nothing can take away the light of the soul, which I saw here tonight. I think those people who feel that, they have a chance of finding that place. So I'll tell you something as a bereaved sister, because my brother Nadav was killed in the army. He was an elite paratrooper, a warrior, and he was the kindest person. And he believed in peace. His last conversation was with a Palestinian about peace, right after he was killed. And he told me that if we had more time to talk, if we would be able to meet each other's soul, pain, to see the dignity that we all share and need, we would be in a very different place. You know, there's a beautiful saying of the Ari, a Kadosh. He says that actually every Torah scroll is like a baby. And when we take it out of the ark, we take it as if it were a baby. And we hold it. and everyone just gives it quiet so it can breathe. So think about synagogue as a place that just makes room for us to hold a baby and to save the breath of that one baby. How can you in that moment say that you save one of an Israeli and you don't save one of a Palestinian? You save them all. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Each and every one. This is about saving life. And in this moment in Israel, there's so many people who I personally see as heroes who are saving life in body, and also so many people who I see as heroes who are saving souls, the souls. They say, no one will corrupt my soul. I'm a person who believes in life, any life. I think we need more quiet. I think we need more listening. I think the world needs to become more gentle, with soft voices. I think we need leaders that make space. And I think that God created life so we can guard it by understanding that nothing in this world can be more precious than it. I want to tell you something about the community of Zion. Many years ago, in one of the wars, so one of the soldiers came to me and he said, I need to know that you pray for peace all the time. I cannot do what I need to do and protect life in body if you are not there to pray for our soul to be saved and for us to know how to stop war and to guard life and the vision of life and the sanctity of life. So we are in a moment that all of us are at war. It's not only in Israel, you're at war. And I know you're attacked from so many directions. People tell you that from here you're not okay, and then tell you that from here you're not okay, and you don't protect enough here, and you don't protect enough there. And all of us are on so many fronts all together. We just have to go yashar. We have to go straight. We are protecting the holiness of life. We must bring back our hostages. We must stop the war. We must acknowledge people who have gone on the 7th of October to be protectors. And now for their sake, we must have a vision of another world, a world of peace that has place for our souls. Israelis and Palestinians, Jews wherever we are, humans wherever we are. And this is what we've come here for. And these are dark days. But we won't see better ones, we will do better ones. Because there's silence in this room. Because there's Rav Sharon in this room. Because there's space in this room. So I believe. And the last thing I want to say is the word emunah. In Hebrew, it comes from ima, mother. And as long as there is motherhood in this world that takes care of someone, I think there is emunah.
I am going to have us close with that because I can't imagine better words and a better blessing. And maybe there'll be time for a little bit of one-on-one afterwards or throughout Shabbat. But I am so thankful to you and to Neria for being with us because I have to tell you, this is not a voice that people imagine when they think about Israel and when they think about where Israelis are in heart and spirit. And that's why it's so important to me that our community knows about you. And so it's a gift for me to be with my friend, but it's also a gift for our community to hear this vision. And I think it's our work in the diaspora to amplify and to support and to lift up the voices of the people who hold a future that we believe is what needs to come. And I'm so grateful to you for embodying that of your heart and soul. Thank you all so much for sticking around. I know it's a late night, and I'm really grateful. I really bless you with continued strength and continued hope in your heart. We have some dessert. I would love if folks would like to go over and grab your plates. And you got your dessert ready? Okay, so hang out, enjoy Birkat Hamazon whenever you're ready. And thank you all so much for being a part of this conversation tonight. I'm so very grateful to all of you. Thank you.